Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Jan if you're new here. Thank you all for being here. So today we are going to make some chicken and dumplings. This is probably my favorite meal in winter of all time. So in here, big pot, I have 7 pretty large drumsticks. Now, I have a pretty large onion that I've just cut in half. Just gonna stick it in there like that. I've got some celery that I put up and froze during Christmas and Thanksgiving. So when we start out making our chicken broth for the chicken and dumplings, we make it the same way I make my dressing for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you want an onion? Let's see. I'll say that's good. So about a stalk and a half of celery. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Now, you can make all your broth using this chicken, or you can add in some actual chicken broth, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do that because I want to make a good bit of extra broth today. So, because I'm using regular, not low sodium chicken broth, here's the amount of salt I'm going to add. That might be a 1/4 teaspoon. I don't recommend y'all add any more than that until you taste it in several hours. Again, because this has a lot of salt in there. If you add too much salt, you'll have to keep adding water to get it diluted back out. So just don't add much from the beginning, or don't add any if you don't want to, because it's definitely going to be salty. We're gonna add some pepper, probably 1/4 teaspoon there too. Onion powder. One, two teaspoons. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder. And that's it for seasonings. Now then, I'm going to add quite a bit of water. Probably somewhere around 10 cups. Of the actual chicken broth, we're going to add 2 cups. 2 measured cups. Okay. Two cups. If I think later on it'll need more, I'll add more, but that would be very unlikely. So today, y'all, I'm going to give away my secret to my dumplings. There's a skin. Sure is. Okay. Helps to make sure I look at the other side of the onion. Okay. Okay, y'all. This big pot is going on probably closer to medium low. I'm not trying to hurry up to cook the chicken. I'm more trying to get that broth very, very flavorful. The chicken's the easy part, but I want a very good broth because it makes all the difference in your chicken and dumplings. And I think homemade is much better than a container. So, like I said, medium low. You don't want this boiling so that your liquid keeps reducing down. That's the opposite of what we're doing here. We want to keep as much of our liquid as possible. So you only want this to a simmer just to get the chicken cooked through, but more importantly, again, to flavor our broth for our chicken and dumplings and for whatever else we want it for. And here we go, 4 hours later. I'm going to get the chicken out, which is falling off the bone. I'm going to get that out, and then I'm going to pour this through a sieve to collect my onions and my celery, but we want all that broth for our dumplings. I shredded all of the chicken. I put it in this bowl, and I took about 4 scoops of the broth and put it back over the chicken, because again, I want my broth to taste as chickeny as possible. And here's the rest of all of our broth. It's beautiful, and it's delicious. Perfect amount of salt to it. I will have to add more once we get our dumplings going, but for now, I'm going to cover this up with some plastic wrap. This is going to go back in the pot, and this is going to go to the side while I get our dumplings made. Okay, here's our broth back in the pot, and I'm bringing this back up to a boil. You want to make sure you have this boiling before you add in your dumplings. But we're going to bring this up slowly because I don't want any of it to evaporate. I know that doesn't look like it's a lot, but that's about at least 6 cups, maybe 7, and I have plenty more if it's not enough. But what I don't want to do is have it watery. Here's our chicken. Just hanging out in the bowl with a little broth on it. Now then, let's get our dumplings made. Okay, y'all, here we go. In the bowl, that's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Gonna add a little salt. Up to a 1/2 teaspoon. Just make sure you check your broth in the pot first. If it's too salty, you might want to leave the salt out of this. We're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Not much. I like my dumplings thin. 1/2 teaspoon. Now then, we're gonna whisk this up. Make sure you got all that baking powder whisked in well, and that salt. Oh, and something I didn't tell y'all when I went to boil the chicken, which is really important. You really want to use bone-in chicken if you're going to make your broth homemade, because it's the bone that gives it all that good chicken flavor. You just let it boil until the chicken is done. Then get your chicken out in one bowl and just let it cool off, and then you can shred it off the bowl. And if you want to leave your veg in, go ahead, but I just go ahead and take all mine out. I want the flavor of it. But when I'm eating this, I want to taste nothing but dumplings and chicken. Okay. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And in my personal opinion, this is what makes chicken and dumplings so good. We're not going to use milk to make our dumplings. We're using our own broth that we made. Y'all, please try this. It'll change your life. It makes the dumplings so flavorful. There we go. Got it just together, which is all we want. You don't want to overdo this because you got baking powder in there. All right, let me move this and I'm going to pour us out some flour on here. Okay. Make sure you got plenty of flour out here. And make sure your hands are clean. We'll fold it just once, just like that. Now, the size of your dumplings is completely up to you. Again, I'm not making a whole lot. That's why this doesn't look like a lot. That is, we'll say an eighth, about an eighth of an inch. I like mine pretty thin, y'all. Take your knife, cut them any way you want them. And this is what mine look like. And you're going to very liberally bask them in more flour, because that flour is going to make your gravy in your chicken broth. That's what thickens it up for you. Y'all, this is so easy, and I'm telling you, this is just one of those comfort meals. It gets you warm. It's delicious. I mean, there's a lot of shortcuts you could do, but you know, the only thing that takes just a few minutes to do is this part right here. The rest of it was easy. We just threw the chicken in the water and the onion and celery in the pot. Again, make your dumplings any way that you like them. If you like them big and fat, make them big and fat. You don't have to add baking powder. You can just, you know, roll this out about a ½ inch thick if you want. Or you can add the baking powder like I did and just roll it out kind of thin. They're still going to puff up just from that little bit of baking powder we put in there. All right, I know y'all don't want to watch this, so just remember, after you cut your dumplings, roll them in more flour so that they're well coated. I'm going to make sure our broth is back to a simmer, and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, here we go. See, we got a steady simmer. Now I'm going to get flour everywhere. Get really close to the liquid before you drop these in there, or you will get burned. And just drop them in. wait and let it come back up to a simmer, and then start dropping more in. Takes about 5 minutes for these thin ones anyway, to go from just, flour and chicken broth to an actual dumpling. But once you get these all in here, you want to let this simmer for at least 15 minutes. Then we'll add our chicken back in. There we go. Come on back up to a boil. We'll turn it up just a little bit. These are all turning into like 2 or 3 big. Anyway, you're supposed to do this one at a time. Just like that. That way they don't stick together. But I just want y'all to see the actual process. That's 2. There we go. Just try to find an empty spot, because they're going to go down to the bottom. And as you see, they'll turn around and come right back up to the top. And that's it. I'm going to finish putting these in here. I'll come back and show y'all what it looks like in about 15 minutes. It should be thickening up quite nicely too from all the extra flour. We got our dumplings coated in. And then we'll add our chicken back in. And then we're just going to let it simmer for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to warm our chicken back up, and then we can eat. So I'll see y'all back in about 15 minutes. Okay, y'all. It's been about 12 minutes, and you can see just how thick some of these dumplings got just from that little bit of baking powder I put in there. But you can also see our broth has thickened up a little bit. Now then, we're going to add in our chicken. If I can do this. Okay, I can't do this. Be right back. Here we go, y'all. Got our chicken stirred in. I'm going to let this simmer just about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to dig in. Doesn't that look delicious? But you see how our broth thickened up from the flour? It's so good. This is going to be so good. Okay, see y'all in 5 minutes. And here we go. I'm going to burn my mouth, but it'll be worth it. Mm. Mm. This is heaven. Nothing I'd rather have more on a cold day. It's just so filling, and it's delicious, and it's chickeny. And it's so easy to make. Mm. Y'all, if you've never made chicken and dumplings, I promise you can make it, and easily. And you can make your own broth too. And more importantly, use your broth to make your dumplings. You'll be amazed at the flavor of this. Mm. I'll put everything in the description. Yeah, I'll make you some of this. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you.